Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last week of Mythic League, game number 2 of the day. We've got a wonderfully hyped matchup, YUBI versus Basic Income and BBZ, juking it out here for playoff seeding. I'm Rapterror, joined by the ever-awesome Erebus. How you doing?
What up, gamers? Well, I was better before we lost our second playoff series consecutively in a 3-1 fashion. But you know what? Someone's got to lose them, so I'm glad it was us, I guess. You guys are welcome. PayPal me if you want. And I'm excited for this match. I think YUBI is a fun team to watch, and I like all the players on BBZ. And YUBI has a very YUBI-looking comp right now. Honestly, I think Sejuani's in a great spot at the moment. I really hope it's a jungle Sejuani. She feels pretty oppressive in the jungle, in my opinion.
I do too. I think Sejuani is very strong right now. I think Maokai is very strong. I don't like seeing strong though. Lulu.
I'm the opposite. I get very excited seeing Lulu. It is one of the 3 champions I can play with bot lane. So,
How long have you been playing League, Erebus?
Since season 3, but I was a jungle main until 2 years ago.
So do you remember the hell that was Lulu mid and Lulu top?
I played Lulu top for a little bit. Yeah, that was awesome.
No, it wasn't. It was a terrible time.
I'm not a top laner, so that was good for me.
That's okay. They've balanced it out. They've redeemed themselves. They pick the Yone. That's always exciting to see, and I'm happy to see Mezuzah on that.
I think it's interesting. It's not blind Yone, but Yone kind of doesn't. I mean, Victor wave clears really well. Yone can kind of match that. I think Yone is a lot more difficult to pilot at a high, his floor is lower, or his floor is higher, right? It's easier to be okay at Yone than it is at Victor, but it's hard to be perfect at Yone. So we'll see. I like Caitlyn. Caitlyn's pretty strong. Jeff's really good to carry. I'd like to see. I want to see Twitch. Twitch isn't a good matchup, but I want to see some Twitch. I think we'll probably see Sivir or Ashe. And then I'm almost positive it's going to be Utility Monster on Maokai. I don't think Red's going to play it, but we'll see.
It doesn't feel like a Red champion to me. If anything, it could probably go support. You put Brian back on the Maokai. I know they've nerfed the support of it, but it is still Brian's Maokai. It is a force to be reckoned with. Heading to this back half of the draft, 280 carry bans coming through for YUBI. BBZ with the support ban. Definitely not feeling the Maokai for Brian. They definitely aren't believing it.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if it was support, just because it's so strong in other roles. Like you said, it's not bad bot lane in any way, shape, or form. And with Caitlyn, it's pretty good. But against Lulu, you're going to have a bit of an issue of getting polyed during your route if Lulu's paying attention. I would like to... I think Kai'Sa is actually a really good ban. Kai'Sa Lulu's a bizarrely strong scaling lane. They're already pretty strong in lane, and then Kai'Sa becomes this 1v9 monster when you have an enchanter enabling you. So I'm not really sure what I'd like to see. I like the Lux ban also. Caitlyn Lux is a really high prio lane. So anything that's going to give laning phase a little bit harder of a time for Caitlyn is good in terms of.
And we've seen Kate Morgana many times over the years. That's a lane no one wants to deal with. I'm hoping we see Geico on something like Kog'Maw. That'd be kind of sick. I love Kog'Maw. I feel like we don't see enough of him in League, and whenever I see a Lulu, my first thought is they could do a Protect the Kog'Maw comp.
They really could, and Sejuani is really good with hyper scaling AD carries just because you have so much peel in your kit. You have your Q knockup, you have your E, which is off cooldown every quarter of a second in a team fight. Your ult is insane. Your W's is slow. Velvet's interesting. I don't know if it fit. I mean, they have a really good split comp.
I'm a big fan of Velvet, so ever since she's come out, she's been my jungler of choice. She's replaced Kha'Zix for me.
There's Ashe.
Ooh, Gosh, okay, so it's all about picks. This feels like it's setting up Mezuzah and Dax. I'm guessing that's going to be a Bel'Veth jungle. It could be Bel'Veth top. I know that's rare, but I have seen it a couple times. I think that would be interesting to see. Either way, it's going to pair very well with the Sejuani. All that melee, being able to just freeze targets up and just quickly shred them down. So this is feeling very much like a, hey, we want to get Yone, we want to get Bel'Veth head. They're going to be our hyper carries. They'll get all the DPS out and be able to duel this Caitlyn. They'll be able to shred through this Volibear and this Maokai. With the Zyra there, we now know that's not going to be Maokai in the support role. So it's either top or jungle. They can still swap with the Volibear. Both are good swaps, though I feel like Red's going to take the volley. I don't know. I'm looking at these comps. And I want to give it to YUBI, but I just love the Bel'Veth so much, and I kind of want to give it to BBZ.
I'm going to give it to YUBI. I don't actually really love either of the comps, to be honest. But I'm going to give it to YUBI just because they have an easier to execute comp, and I really am not high on the Yone pick. I also think Bel'Veth is in a weird spot where, like, in solo queue she's really strong, but she's kind of hard to pull off in fives. So we'll see.
That's fair. And you know, I think that is also something to think about is the ease of execution. Usually, if it really it's just the Bel'Veth. I'm just a sucker for Bel'Veth. But I usually agree with you. I'm always a fan of teams drafting easier execute comps. I think if you're gonna pull off a high execute comp, you have to be really sure that you are better than your opponents, like 100% sure. Because if you're not, it just becomes so difficult to really get it going. And I feel like you see a lot of pro teams, and even as we've seen in FOF, teams try these compositions and then they just don't work out. They can't get those leads. They're not quite able to outskill as much as they need, and then it falls apart. And I guess I will agree with you. I'll switch my vote to YUBI. You know, I agree with the ease of execution. So plus I hate Lulu, so
I think YUBI is also the hardest team to outskill because, like, technically speaking, they tend to have weaker players in most of their roles, but that never actually ends up mattering, and they win every game anyways just because they're so coordinated. Like, in a vacuum, Dax is, like, he's higher ranked utility monster. Mezuzah's a higher ranked mid laner. Geico's a higher ranked AD, right? They have leads everywhere, but, like, that doesn't matter very much in fives in any way, shape, or form. And YUBI is just a coordinated little monster of a team, and I'm tired of them winning, but they're all very friendly, so it's okay.
I think that's fair. And I agree. You know, coordination, really important for teams. I mean, we've seen teams win worlds that I would argue we're not the strongest team of the year. We've seen teams that just played better coordination, played better macro, and that's how they got it. Like, I mean, this might be controversial. Like, I thought FPX was not the strongest team of the year that they won. I felt like they just had a much better under macro and much better team coordination, and that's how they utilized Doinby so well. And even TPA, I don't think was the strongest team of the year. They were there. They just, you know, they understood what they had to do to win. And speaking of understanding what to do to win, looking at that bot lane, a lot of poke. They know they just need to poke it out.
That's a gross lane. Zyra's a really strong champion in general. Right. There's just a lot of damage in that kit. At one item, you can, like, one-shot an 80 carry. That always bothers me. And Caitlyn has the longest range in the game. Jeff's very good at a lot of 80 carries. And we have a gank going on top.
We do. Red having to flash to get out of there from Dax. Manages to get away with his life. I don't think he really needed to use it. I felt like all of the lockdown was taken up already by BBZ, but still getting out. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. Little proactive play out of Dax. I like it. Maokai is not necessarily the most exploitable champion top lane, though, right? Like, it's not like you can just crash the wave and dive. I mean, they actually probably could have with his health bar and how he's trading in the wave, but generally speaking, it's a pretty difficult dive to pull off.
Oh, Red? Oh, Shiho. Oh,
okay, now, ignore everything I said. Never mind.
Yep,
you don't even have to dive. You just get the kill.
You just walk up slowly and down ignite. Speaking of down ignite, Civillock going in with that, trying to lock down there. But Dax is here going for Civillock, getting him so very low, but nothing to really follow up with. He's just going to walk out just fine, but still a kill on the board for BBZ.
Yeah, I mean, the hyper carry is Sejuani, right? So at least your hyper carry is locked and loaded. Time to start one-shotting kids. Maokai being behind is actually pretty important. So it's going to allow Sejuani to have a little bit more agency. That's a really good root out of Brian. That's a lot of damage.
So beautiful.
Ashe has long range too. Like Ashe is the champion that can kind of go toe to toe with Caitlyn in terms of just like CSing advantage. But Zyra Caitlyn is just such a gross lane, and Lulu can't really walk up to her ass without taking their entire health bar. Really good
Yeah.
ward right there. I think they knew that they might have been getting collapsed on with the wave crashing. So dissuading utility monster a little bit, who's going to be more than happy to just reset and go farm his Krugs and then kind of full clear.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? Like looking at this, actually, hang on just a moment. We've got a gank incoming top lane. Red is going to get locked up. I think he's going to just be dead here. No way out. Dax going to rip him up, going to pick up the kill, and going to get some of that sweet, juicy Void Coral.
Red is playing a little bit far up for having just a sapling. Dax did a really good job of walking outside of the bush. I don't know if he didn't knew there wasn't a ward there or not, but if you avoid the sapling, Red doesn't know you're coming. Flash is down, and that's a really good gank. And they're just going to kind of snowball off top a little bit off this, get a plate. It's going to be a pretty healthy bear or pig, right? So do you want to Red's a pig, right? Or is that just a lunar skin?
Oh no, she rides a pig.
Okay,
every skin but the
Bristle,
Russian skin.
that's right.
Yeah,
Okay,
then she
yeah.
rides a bull bear.
All right, so Bristle's going to be nice and healthy. Dax is having a lot of early success and pressure on this Bel'Veth, and this is going to really help them get that first Rift Herald, I think. They're not, right now YUBI's not in a position to necessarily be able to contest early Rift Herald with the pressure and lead that there is top lane. Bot's looking rough, though. This has got to be so annoying to play.
Yeah. And Geico taking, good flash of him. Brian getting pretty low, though. Got to be careful, but he's going to buy himself space at the plants. Geico and them don't have anything to go forward. Ghost and heal and flash burned on the BBZ bottom side. Nothing on the side, though, for summoners for YUBI. They just kind of walked up and they're just like, yeah, we'll just burn some sums, whatevs.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that flash Zyra route now, because you will die if you get Caitlyn trapped. Jeff and Brian are playing very well.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because, this is almost like a shifted version of comps you used to see back in the day. Actually, hang on. Shiho going in onto Red. Red getting very low. Gonna get critted down. Just 1v1. Shiho picks up another kill. Another solo kill for himself.
I guess we have an assassin in the top lane. Sejuani is no longer a bruiser tank. Sejuani is a one-shot mage artillery bear. And I don't know.
So it's Lee Sin.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Lee Sin. It's like we're watching Aatrox up there. I like this play from YUBI. They know that the bot lane had to reset. They know mid doesn't really have prio on it. Just pick up an early dragon, and that's a really good use of their time.
Yeah, and Hex is, I think, a good dragon to pick up a solo of. Give him a little extra boost.
It's a quality dragon for sure. I would agree with that.
But a little less than 7.5 minutes in, 1,000 gold lead right now for the side of BBZ. This is going to be a game I feel it's going to be really hard to judge gold lead on effectively. So obviously, dragons, there's gold value in dragons, but also for the side of BBZ, how do you judge the scaling of Bel'Veth, gold wise, the gold efficiency of all that attack speed? But we'll have to get back to that in a moment because Red and Shihao are back at it again.
Beat each other to death this game.
They are. The wet noodle fights continuing, but meanwhile on the bottom side, Utility Monster gets jumped on by BBZ, manages to flash out. The ult burned from Mezuzah. Gonna be fine, but Jeff God getting low. Jeff God getting run down, and Mezuzah's gonna pick up the kill. Now Red's looking though for Shihao. Misses him. Doesn't hit him. Oh, but the punch over the wall with a sliver of health. Red manages to finally get YUBI on the board.
All right, so that was a really good play on Dax's end. Finds Utility Monster in rotation. Geico plays that fight fantastically, gets both of Jeff's summoners, they pick up a kill, and they're relieving pressure, and they actually are up CS now. So bot lane gets to breathe a little. Top lane, I don't know, that's just like a solo queue moment, right? You're just kind of hanging out in your lane, you see top lanes die 3 times solo, you're like, dude, stop. And all of a sudden you see shut down, and it's like, well, no, not what changed, right? Nothing happened that would have made that easier for you. Why did you just get a kill? So good on Red to pick that up, but I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, it was very... Yeah, I'm kind of interested. I have to see how that did happen. It looked like he may have gotten just too aggressive, but that is shutdown gold now in the favor of the Maokai. Though I guess if you're Sejuani, really big burn strategy here. You let him kill you, so you reset his gold value to full. So now you can just keep farming him for the full gold again.
That is certainly a strategy. I don't know if I'd call it the biggest brain strategy, but That's possibly their thought process, and it looks like we have junglers converging on top side.
Yes, we do. Utility Monster is up here. I think Shihao did spot him. Belveth is here as well, but here comes Civillock. Looking to maybe fight. The teleport from Mazuza went to mid, so they aren't there. Dax does get out. You watch War Leader just get chipped away at by Jeff God and Brian. What I was saying earlier, though, like, so you remember back in the day when, like, Caitlyn Lulu was actually, like, a more common lane, but then Zyra Ashe was also a common lane? Remember when Sneaky and Lemon made that?
Zyra Ashe was a really good lane.
Oh, hang on. Geico getting hit by the ultimate. Oh,
Wait,
Brian
what?
picks up War Leader, but the arrow coming in. Mazuza is going to finish off one. Jeff God gonna dodge Mazuza's ultimate, but still going to get swiped down. Brian gets taken out by Geico. Mazuza picks up Jeff God, and they trade 2-for-1 in favor of BBZ.
You got to watch out for those plants. They have a bizarrely long attack range. That was a really good run from Mazuza, though. I like that a lot. Very proactive play. Looks like BBZ is playing very coordinated right now. They seem to be on the front foot on a lot of these. They had members earlier than the other team than YUBI does at the moment.
Yeah.
And while YUBI individually in lane's not looking bad, like Civlock's up CS, their bot lane is, I mean, they've been pretty cryoed the entire game. YUBI has not been able to do very much to assist their bot lane in pushing the leads. They've had BBZ's had very good proactive wards, and we have a top fight.
Yeah, we do. Shihao and Red are going at it, but the little foam bats are just kind of very casually walk away from each other, not able to really finish it off. But I agree, they really haven't been able to put much into helping this bottom lane. It's just been basically the BBZ showdown here. However, look at the gold lead. 4 kills up for the side of BBZ. They're only up less than 1,000 gold. So the farming coming in really big here for the side of YUBI. Even top side, Red died 3 times. He's still up about 15, 16 farm right now. Or 15 farm, exactly. So
I think Red has a better understanding of wave management than Shihao does. At least that's what I would have to guess. Because otherwise that shouldn't be the case. Sejuani shoves on accident a little bit easier, but you have grasp, you can just auto attack. I try to be a little more aware of your lane positioning so you could help enable your jungler. I think a lot of the goals also coming from 4 plates being down bot side.
That's true. That is true. And there's also farm up in the jungle. Mythic is done for utility monsters. Got the chem tech to be able to run targets down. Dragon up in 10 seconds. Gonna be the Infernal. So it's gonna be one of the less damage-orientated souls, but that could actually be really good for the side of YUBI. Especially something like Mountain Soul for that Maokai and that Volibear. They can get it.
Did I miss somebody getting Herald?
You missed Dax got it earlier and he dropped it bottom lane.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's why all those plates are gone.
That makes sense.
Yep. And I don't know exactly when he got it because I didn't see that, but Brian now getting caught out. War Leader trying to poke him down. They are trying to start up this dragon, but the jungle and bottom side are here for the side of BBZ. Mazuza also roaming down. They didn't spot him with that drop. Dax going for it. Managed to land the arrow onto Brian. Brian trying to ride, but the ult just nukes Dax. And now Utility Monster going in. Mazuza gets hits a massive ultimate onto 2. Getting out of there. Brian getting low. Shihao managing to pick up the kill. Geico trying to grab Jeff God. Jeff God is going to go down, but here in the back, Red is looking for the fight. Now we see Civillock pick up a kill onto Jeff God. Utility Monster trying to help him out. The stun, though, onto Shihao. They're going to collapse
Get out
on
of
them.
there, Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu got to run. Utility Monster hunting Shihao, but the slow from the picks gonna force them away. I don't think YUBI can contest this, though. Dax already respawned. Mazuza already healed and coming back, though. The bottom side of YUBI's here. They are going to continue it. This fight is going to go on. Shihao looking to buy some space, looking to maybe get in there. Here comes Dax, though. Yeah, they're looking for Red, looking for the fight, going towards Shihao. Shihao is going to get bursted down, but so is Red. No, Red's not. He is, but they're going to take Dax in the process for it. So the jungler down 2-for-1 in favor of YUBI. They finally find the fight they're looking for, and they pick up the dragon in the process.
That was bad. That was very good from YUBI. That was very interesting from BBZ. I think after you lose that initial fight with your main damage, you just give the second dragon. Belveth is a little squishy at the moment. I didn't expect Belveth to die as fast as they did with the Lulu ult on them initially. I think that kind of threw off how BBZ wanted to fight. Geico played that very, very well. Mezuzah played it super well, but Civillock was positioned perfectly. Red got a good TP flank and kind of zoned off. And, I mean, when you just have Sejuani and Lulu left up, there's not a ton of threat versus a Maokai Volibear. I think maybe just give that play up and try to be proactive elsewhere.
Yeah, and the Maokai coming up so big despite being down. Red is making the most use of this tree. And now with that kill, and now the turret too, YUBI has finally got the gold lead. It's only 300, but they are in the gold lead.
Yeah, YUBI is very, very good at not caring about gold difference. I don't know what it is, but even if they're down like 5k gold, their fights always seem relatively close. And I think a lot of teams can learn from that, to be honest. It's pretty frustrating to play against, but it's very fun to watch. And let's see if Red gets his, or they get their revenge on Red or not.
It looks like they might. They do manage to lock him up with the Sejuani ult. Red trying to run away, though, but they are going to rip him down. Meanwhile, though, on the bottom side, Brian managed to pick up Geico. War Leader on the run. Civillock looking for him. War Leader is getting low, but here comes Mezuzah, the ult coming in. Civillock looking for it. He's going to zap that Lulu. Now Mezuzah goes back to reality. Oh, there goes Gravity. Civillock picks up the kill and shuts down Mezuzah.
Is that Civillock or Faker? That was really good. I don't know how Geico died. Like, those are some weird timings on the death timers because Lulu is still alive. Ash was just dead. And that was a really good roam out of Civillock to match it. Zyra just does so much damage. It's very difficult to match the amount of damage that Zyra does at a certain point in the game. And you see the Crystal Scepter's up, so...
Utility Monster looking for Dax here. They managed to get the Herald. They're looking for the Void Coral.
Ooh.
But the snipe from downtown by Jeff God manages to pick up the kill. He's on the hunt for Shihao, but he's just going to walk away. YUBI, they may have given up the Herald, but they find big fights all around the map.
They are just rotating much better. You know, earlier in the game we were saying BBZ was having better rotates, reacting better. YUBI is now kind of in the driver's seat, and they seem to have a very cohesive idea of what they want to do. They're shoving their lanes out, bots already pushed in, mids push, and they're just going to push down the top
Utility
tower.
Monster finds Geico. They go for the flash ult from Brian saying they managed to pick up the kill onto Geico. War Leader ults himself. He's trying to get away, but he's going to go down. A double kill for Utility Monster. Like you said, YUBI just playing so coordinated right now. They're just like reading BBZ like a book. The red buff is here. The red shell is here.
I don't think you can walk that way as the bot lane. I mean, like, you have to be aware of Volibear's top side there, right? If not, just ass hawk shot it. That's a pretty dangerous route to take, especially when you have two people that are just, like, positioned so aggressively, and they're going to get 2 towers for it, and the entirety of Dax's jungle, and pretty much everything they want, and they've kind of gone from down 1k to up 3k in the span of 3 minutes, which is a little gross.
I mean, it's the YUBI way. We'll lose lane, win game, right?
Yeah, unironically, yeah. Red, you know, mental strong. So if you get solo kill 3 times by Sejuani, I wouldn't be too thrilled. But you know what he said? I don't care. I'm just doing it for fun. I'm gonna go teleport elsewhere and be very, very useful. Utility Monster looks fantastic, like he always does. Civillock's Victor is actually really good. Civillock doesn't play Victor a lot, and he tends to be on more control champs. Ooh,
Yeah.
you got Mezuzah caught out.
Yeah, he has been caught out. He's going over the wall, but he's using the Spirit. It's not going to matter. Knows he's basically dead. The ult, though, trying to get away, trying to run, but everything is just being thrown at him in the kitchen sink. Jeff God snipes the kill again. They're managing to get him back on the board. You know, it's been a rough game for this bottom lane for YUBI, but they're getting back into it now.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think I can't say we can pinpoint a specific time when this even started happening. I would just say when Ashe kind of died off screen and then they chased down Lulu and Mezuzah at the same time, while Jeff was just able to free farm, was probably the big turn point for their bot lane. Just kind of freeing them out of the lane, even though, I mean, you want to be in that lane. But
Utility Monster going forward, looking for a War Leader, gets the ult out of him. The Dunk Bear going through, trying to grab it on the back end of the fight. Shihao is on Jeff God, and Utility Monster goes down, but Brian managed to pick him up, goes on a killing spree. Red is here. Mezuzah trying to run, gets knocked up into the air. Civillock going on a rampage. Jax looking to knock him up.
Geico's doing a lot of damage.
Jax hits it, but doesn't get the soul. Goes down to Brian saying again, Brian just huge this game. Red going forward, gets the flash route in. They try to snipe Geico. Geico trying to run. Red looking for it here. But Geico is on the run, but he's going to get sniped. He walks back to say hi to Brian, forgets Jeff's with him. And that's going to be another kill going over to YUBI, and almost an ace as they roam over for the Ocean Drake to put themselves on soul point.
Shihao and Geico played that fight very, very well. Shihao zoned out the main 2 damage carries for like 5 or 6 seconds, which is a pretty big portion of this point of the game. And Geico did like 100 trillion damage that fight. However, you know, you blew Lulu out of the fight really fast. You have to, you know, Lulu ults herself, runs away, can't continue to provide any assistance. Mizuza, unfortunately, can't just do enough damage to kill anybody at the moment. And Dax is just kind of getting instantly blown up the second he goes near any champion.
Yeah, this is the downside of playing Bel'Veth this way. You know, you think, oh, it's an attack speed champion. You should be building all this attack speed, but I'm actually not really a fan of the build so far. Granted, it's only 1 item in. Something I've seen a lot of Bel'Veths do, especially at the pro level, is you buy Bork and then you just run straight tank because you already get enough damage from Bork from the passive, and then you just scale attack speed and it doesn't matter, especially because, you know, her passive kind of breaks on hit items. You do reduce damage from them, so it's kind of a bait to build Kraken Slayer. I think
how Viego is too, right?
Yeah, kind of how Viego is too. And I think that in this case, what you need to do really is you build the Bork and then you just run the tank. You get like Sunfire, or you get like, yeah, probably just Sunfire. You take Sunfire is what I see a lot build, and then you just run straight tank bruiser items. Maybe you grab, God, why am I forgetting that claw? What's the claw item again with the shield? Why am I thinking it's not
the claw with the shield?
Yeah,
Sterix.
There you go. I wanted to say Rabadons, and I know that's not correct. That's the AP hat.
Yeah,
but you grab that. You grab Sterix as maybe your other DP, your other damage item to be Bruisery, and then you would jump into a fight, and you're just impossible to kill. And her bases are pretty high, so I don't know. I think the build path is just not what you need, especially with how much burst is coming out. I mean, just how much damage there is on YUBI. You really need just to be tankier. You can't just have Shihao be your only front line. You need that secondary tank to really like get things going. But they are looking for a player. Dax is hiding in the bush as YUBI sieges down this mid turret, up almost 4,000 gold. It'll probably be 4,000 after they take this turret. Chef's gonna take it with ease, and they move on up.
BBZ looks trying to collect themselves a little bit. They don't really have an easy in window in these fights.
Yeah, Mizuza.
Let's see,
Mizuza's been found out by Jeff God. He's looking for him. The ult coming through, though. He does manage to hit Jeff. He's trying to run away, but he has to dash back. The ult coming through, the snipe not enough yet. Mizuza getting low, and he's going to get gunned down. But on the other side, Civilok gets picked, and I think that's the call to go to Baron for the side of BBZ. They're even leaving the Void Coral to go for this.
I like the call. If Zyra shows up, Zyra might just kill 2 of them. But this is proactive. This is what you need to do. Find a pick with the Ashe ult and then just kind of play around that.
I think they should have picked up the Coral, though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, there's just so much of Bel'Veth locked up into it. Now look at Dax already forced out of the fight. The ult from Shihao does manage to hit Brian, but it's not going to be enough. They're going right onto him, and Brian goes unstoppable now. Utility Monster, though, going for Geico, getting kited, though. The ult coming through, jumping right onto him, and he's going to shut him down. YUBI picks up 2. Jeff God picks up a turret. And
YUBI can Baron now, too.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for the Baron off that.
Nah, they don't want it.
No.
Wow. I think the call is once somebody shows up from YUBI, just leave. You know, you can't really fight. That's just gross. True. Jeff is soaking a lot of CS, a lot of XP. He has a bounty now. Civilok wasn't even in the fight. That was just Zyra, the bear, and the tree. And yeah, you know, that was rough.
And I think it also, like, you know, it shows like Dax's, you know, lacking experience in Bel'Veth. You know, so much of her kit and her stats are locked behind picking up those souls. You pick up a champion soul, you get that massive damage buff, you get the attack speed buff, you get all of that, but they just don't pick it up. So you just have basic Bel'Veth. You're missing like so much of your kit's ability. And while I wouldn't have allowed them to do Baron, it wasn't like it was low or anything. It could have allowed them a little bit more time in the fight. You know, the bonus health, the bonus range. Yeah, I feel like it was just a miscall from the team. They got too excited thinking they had that pick. And now, yeah, they're not going for Baron, but 35 seconds up. This is probably going to be Ocean Soul for YUBI. They're up 6,000 gold.
If YUBI gets
BBZ
Ocean Soul, the game's over.
Yeah, I think they do. I agree. I think if they get it, it's just done. They're just so beefy too. That's also part of the problem. But BBZ got to make a stand. There's still hope for them. They can still find it. If Mezuzah hits like a 5-man ult, there's a chance.
Yeah, if they get a 5-man ult into Sejuani tanking 5 people, this isn't a great start to that, though.
Yeah, this isn't the start of that. Shihao getting wrecked. Mezuzah misses the ultimate. This is a disaster. Jeff God goes on a rampage. They're looking for utility monster, but the ult coming through from Brian. Brian getting super low, though, but they managed to pick off Dax. Mezuzah here on the side. Geico looking for something. Utility monster goes on a killing spree, getting him, though. Now he's looking for the ult comes through. The Bears. Duncan coming to slam for the jam. Picks him up. Civillock is going to go down. Geico going to pick it up.
But so much damage, but it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, Geico's trying so hard. Mezuzah too, trying to gain all this damage, but they just don't have the front line to buy the space. And YUBI, they're just going to send the Bear to go pick up the soul, and they're going to take the turret.
Yeah, they get inhib. They can even probably get top. No, okay, timers are too short to get top also. They grab this. I think they rotate just Dragon, reset, and then try to prep Baron. And then I think they can probably just end off that once they have soul. That fight,
so.
We talked about how they could win, and then they immediately did the opposite of everything. Sejuani just died, Mezuzah missed his ult, and then things went south. Are they going to chase this?
They are. Mezuzah is looking. He did teleport in, but they don't. They only have Shihao's ultimate.
The dragon almost dead?
Oh, they want the dragon. I think they've realized it. It's been sniffed out.
Oh, they can get it.
Yeah, Jeff God is caught low here. He's going over, looking to maybe pick up one, but he's going to get shut down. Oh no, they managed to shut down another 2, but the ult, I mean, it is going to come through. They are going to get the soul for the side of YUBI. Civillock is here. Red's going to die. That is 3
go Baron,
dead.
Baron. Don't chase, go Baron.
Yeah, they just need to run away. BBZ, though, they managed to lose the soul, but pick 3 kills and go right for Baron. They're going to slowly, as they run. Dax is probably the only one really rushing to it, but Civillock is here to cut them off.
I don't know if they knew how much health the dragon had. It seemed like BBZ could have gotten in and killed Utility Monster and taken the soul.
They're looking for Utility Monster, though, and they're looking for Civillock. They managed to find him. The ult coming through, though, from Utility Monster. He's trying to grab at least one. He takes out War Leader. He goes golden, the Bear of Shine. He flashes the wall to run away. Dax is looking for him. He's going to knock him up. They're trying. He's just buying so much space and time. The shutdown actually goes over to War Leader. But they can't do that. Is the call to knock in the Bear.
Base.
Jeff got ult.
Wait, they're just gonna lose. Okay, no, never mind. Red TP'd into base. They lost their.
It's a flank. They're franking him. Dax and Shihao can't get away. The ult was just to stop them. Red is on the hunt. The ult is coming through. They're gonna lock up Shihao. They're not gonna get Dax for this probably, but they are gonna pick him off. Dax on the run. Lulu gonna save him.
And now they go Baron. Okay.
What chaos!
That was the world's longest TP flank I've seen in my entire life. This literally teleports to the Nexus. Ooh, Death Bush, I like that.
Ooh,
Ash Arrow should be able, or Ash E should be able to find them though. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Jeff God gets spotted. He's just gonna keep running though. The plant is in the bush. They're just gonna steal the jungle camps, and then they're gonna run. The red shell, you throw the red shell, sometimes goes a little past, but then it just loops right back around to hit your target, and that's kind of what happened there. As BBZ, they aren't even like they're kind of contesting it, but they still don't have Shihao yet. He's not up. He does have teleport though. We haven't called it in yet. Baron, though, less than half health. This is the point. Dax, though, trying to get in, trying to run away. Red team, though, YUBI gonna pick it up. We could just call it the red team. It is kind of the red show right now with those flanks. But yeah, we thought it was a BBC Baron, but it's really just a YUBI one. As YUBI starting to march down the top side here. They've got Ocean Soul, they've got Baron, and they might have a close on this game coming up shortly.
Red's not around, so I don't know if they can actually super in the game. They can definitely pressure down another. This is kind of risky for them. Their Maokai's not there, and they don't have teleport. If BBZ notices, they can just ult with Sejuani and try to clean the fight up.
It looks like they're trying to. The ult's coming in, though. Such a big ult from Mezuzah. Manages to hit one. Jeff God does manage to go down. Brian trying to pick Sassane. The utility monster manages to get killed. Brian trying to run away, trying to get away from Dax. Utility Monster forced to ult out, but Civillock
so
managed to
much
pick the
stuff on
kill on
the
the Jax. Here comes Red. Double kill for Utility Monster going forward. This bear is hungry. He wants those picnic baskets, but he might not be able to get them. He's gonna get sent into his GA. Wasn't expecting that on the bear. They managed to get the inhibitor turret. They're gonna pick up the inhibitor. 3 members of BBZ down. YUBI, without their AD carry, is still pushing for the win right here. Geico and Mazuza trying to buy space. Utility Monster taking a lot of damage. Red going forward. They managed to take out Mazuza. It's just Geico versus the world. Can he save his team the 15% on Nexus Insurance?
I don't
It does
think so.
does not look like it. BBZ gonna fall to YUBI as they tie up SLR and continue their hopes for first place.
Man, YUBI looked really good. I'd say after laning phase, they didn't really make any super obvious mistakes. They went around the map super well. They were very coordinated. Everyone played very well. I like this. I like the Nexus TP flank. That was pretty funny. Geico, on the other hand, I'd say Geico played the best out of anybody in the game.
I would agree. Look at that damage.
Yeah, and then look at Zyra's damage. I told you, Zyra's busted. That's so gross.
Brian basically was the real AP carry this game.
Yeah.
Even when he's playing Victor, Civillock is still secondary support on the team.
Man, that feels bad, man. Zyra just does so much. That's not even the Luden Zyra or Leandry Zyra build.
Yeah, it's just pure AP.
I'd say anybody on YUBI really could have been the MVP. Almost anybody. I'd probably give it to Brian or Utility Monster on my end personally. Brian was just a presence, 9-3 and 13. So was Utility Monster, 8-2-10. Had a lot of very important plays. Civillock also played very, very well. So I think any of those 3 players could realistically have been the MVP.
Well, I've got at least some good news for you, because we've got an interview with Brian coming up right after this short break. So don't go anywhere.
Hello everyone, Chris Edgeworth here with our second interview of the night, joined by the very flashy, the very victorious Brian Sang of Universal Basic Income. It's a double economic win here back to back, folks, so we'll have to see how things shake out tomorrow. Brian, how are you feeling after the win?
We're feeling pretty good. BBZ was one of the teams we lost to in the first round, so we were really happy to be able to kind of show that we can bounce back and then score a win on them on the second half of the season.
Let's dive right into this game because two games in a row been some pretty banger drafts. The thing that I would point out, of course, is we get the Belvussi on the other side, matching up against you folks. Azusa, Spicy on the Yone, and then the biggest thing, of course, to point out here is, of course, you getting your hands on the R5 Zyra. What are your thoughts overall on the draft, what you folks had thought about coming into this game, and what you ended up against?
Yeah, so when we were coming into this game, we really wanted to make sure that we had a really strong core, and we were looking to kind of try to abuse our flex picks to kind of get a strong, cohesive team comp. So when we saw, these early picks like Sejuani and Yone within the first rotation, we noticed that their team comp would kind of have to play more dive-oriented playstyle, where they have to kind of run into us to do their damage. So once we knew that in the first half, we kind of really wanted to make sure that their team comp had the most difficulty doing that as possible. So that's why we went for those picks like Zyra in the latter half to kind of make it really, really difficult for them to get in and do their damage. So in the end, in the first set of the series against them, they played kind of kite back, and then on this end, we were the kite back this time, and so I think we were able to kind of accomplish that with our draft, and it really helped us in our game plan.
Just a quick question of clarification, because obviously noting that with the Sejuani on the top side, of course, they have Yone in the mid, who's a melee champion. Is Belveth's autos, I know she's big, they can still count as melee, right? They're not like Rakan, where they're like ranged because they're so long, but it like kind of is melee. They're melee, right?
I believe they are melee. I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I believe they are melee.
All right, right on. So yeah, I mean that's the point I'm trying to make is, of course, with 3 melee topsides, cool, you can proc the Sejuani passive, but looking at the scoreboard, it didn't work out too well for the top side of the map. I mean, overall, I want to bring us into this game and look at just sort of the tempo overall of how this game started off, because it was a bloody game overall, especially as we were cresting through 20 minutes. There was more than 20 kills in 20 minutes. What were your thoughts and feelings in this game, as bloody as it was?
Yeah, so when we first came into game and we noticed that Lulu was late to lane, we kind of pegged it for a bottom lane start for Bel'Veth, which means it's very likely that she's going to creep towards the top side and then kind of pressure the top side. Whereas on our side, I believe we had a red start, so that means Volibear is pathing downwards. So in that kind of arrangement, that means that we have pressure on the bot side and BBZ has pressure on the top side. So naturally, those two lanes, bot lane is our play and the top lane is their play. So I think that kind of manifested in the fact that Red got ganked like multiple times by Bel'Veth. He was teleported back to lane, got ganked again, and so basically ate a lot of pressure. And then in the bot side, even though we didn't end up getting kills for like the first few minutes, we got like 2 or 3 tower plates very, very early on. So in that sense, we were trading kills in top lane for plates on bottom lane. And so then what ended up happening is we have this very imbalanced map where our bot lane is very strong and conversely their top lane is very strong. So fortunately for us, our kind of team comp really revolves around breaking those early towers with the power of that Caitlyn Zyra siege. So having them accelerated kind of played into our game plan of just breaking all the towers and then showing up to objectives first and forcing them to come into us.
Now, looking at how the game shook out in the end, it wasn't enough for Geico. Of course, we got to tip our hat there. He was absolutely explosive on the Ashe, a pick that we've been seeing come back into the meta more, getting some picks at Worlds. 32,000 damage dealt by Geico. Looking at this on hit built with the Kraken Slayer, and yeah, he's got the Jinzu's the butter knife, as I call the rage knife, whatever. It's the butter knife in his pocket. So tip of the hat there. But of course, the story is of course that this was just a classic Brian Sang diff on the map. You get the R5 Zyra. You're explosive on it. You are the carry here. Victor, get behind me. He had more deaths, less assists, less kills. Civillock, you are the support now. Brian Sang is the carry. Talk to me a little bit about popping off in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Because we got to lane early and we didn't have the leash, it just meant that we were able to really seize early control of that lane, and then being able to kind of run rampant like that is one of my specialties. So when I have a lane where I see the jungler just keep showing up top, that means I'm allowed to, be more aggressive in that lane and then kind of flex on the strength of using that Zyra to bully. And I've always actually traditionally enjoyed playing damage supports like that Morgana, like the Zyra, like the Vel'Koz. But typically, depending on whatever UB needs, which is sometimes we need to engage or need to be more proactive, so that's why you see a Mumu or Leona, I play those tanks. But it's nice to be able to kind of return to my roots and play those AP damaging champions, because those were my favorite to play back in the day.
Before we step away, I want to ask you one quick question because, of course, the story coming into this match was that BBZ, as I had called it, was the possible red shell that could have gotten TDE to tie up with you for second. In the end, you folks do stay one step ahead of them. What are your thoughts now with them in third, close on your heels still for second? What are your thoughts going into playoffs, going into tomorrow even?
Well, definitely we're gonna have to fight SLR, which is the other team that beat us. So I definitely think it's going to be a very exciting match there. I still think BBZ is a very, very strong team, especially I think once they just kind of get their footing, make sure that they figure out kind of their identity now that with Gecko moving to AD carry, maybe putting Prashant back on more of that kind of control mage style where he really specializes on. I think that they're definitely still a very strong team. So even though we managed to take the win today, definitely every game you have to look out for what they can do.
Of course, as we look forward to our next game, it is going to be super late reveal against the man, the myth, the legend, the team that everyone wants to see get a win. It'll be Fat Pikachu, who could be your blue shell here as we round out the day. Do you have any words, any thoughts for Fat Pikachu as they get ready for this match?
I love Fat Pikachu. They are probably my favorite team in Mythic League right now, and I really, really, really hope they win. I'm Fat Pikachu's biggest fan. I love all of their players. I think they're a very awesome team. So I really hope they win.
I'm sure on any other day but today, SLR would be rooting for them, but today it's every other team is rooting for that Fat Pikachu win. If it happens, not only would it be great to see them get the win, but it would really make the stakes tomorrow even bigger. So we hope to see some fiery matchups, a banger of a game as we get ready for Game 3. Before we step away, Brian saying, your last opportunity on the desk for any final thoughts, any shout-outs, any banter.
Big thanks to for Utility Monster. I know he spends a lot of time working out our drafts and kind of planning out and doing all the scouting for our team. So he always makes it so that our drafts kind of really help our team play to our fullest strength. So big thanks to him for doing all our draft work.
All right, well, folks, Game 2 is wrapped up. All eyes are on Fat Pikachu. Can the blue shell come out? Can we see Fat Pikachu rack up that win against the top team in the league coming in today in SLR? We'll be back with Game 3 coming up next.
since you